I think probably we should begin, and it's very good to be able to welcome people again to this technician update. I think it's been a while since we had one of these, and I know everyone has actually been very busy in the meantime and probably had their own things to do, but it's quite useful, I think, to be able to have an update, get the community together. So we're going to tell you a few things today about what's been going on in terms of the Technicians Commitment. We'll have an update on what's been happening there, and also we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the talent programme, where we've got the combination of 8 Midlands universities working towards improving technician working conditions, opportunities, etc. And Kelly Vere is going to tell us something about that today. So welcome, Kelly, and pleased you can join us today.
Brilliant. Okay, so thanks so much for the opportunity to come and tell you a little bit about our talent programme. Hopefully many of you have heard of this initiative a little bit over the last few months and so, when we're really starting to ramp up. So Talent, for those that don't know, is a Research England funded programme which has been awarded to the Midlands Innovation Consortium of Universities. It's all about advancing status and opportunity for the technical community in higher education and research. It was announced by the Science Minister in February 2020. It's a project that's all about bringing people and technical colleagues together. So obviously we were not planning or expecting for a pandemic the month after we launched, but we've made some fantastic progress over the last 12 months, thanks to a fantastic team. It has 3 key work streams, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each in more detail. But work stream 1 is a National Policy Commission. And what we're doing here is we have our colleague, Professor Sir John Holman, who's chairing the Policy Commission, that's helping us provide strategic sector insight into technical skills, roles and careers across higher education and research. I'll say a little bit more about these in a moment. Our second work stream is around, again, it's bringing it back to the 8 sort of Midlands Innovation Universities, but it's around changing cultures for the technical community. And we've got a range of culture change projects, which again, I'll tell you a little bit more about shortly. And then our third work stream is again bringing it back to the 8 Midlands Innovation Universities. It's direct investment into training and empowerment and career development opportunities for technicians across the 8 Midlands Innovation Universities. So a little bit about work stream 1, the Talent Policy Commission. For a long time, I think many will agree that the sector has not had sort of strategic oversight or insight into the technical skills and roles needed to drive research and innovation in this country. We are very good at talking about shiny equipment and facilities, etc., but very rarely do we talk as a sector about the skills and talent that's needed to drive those facilities and equipment. So through Talent, we've commissioned a Talent Policy Commission, and we've brought a fantastic team of commissioners together to investigate and generate new data, knowledge and evidence about the roles that technical colleagues play in higher education and research. And I just wanted to give you a bit of a flavour of the idea of colleagues that are involved in this initiative. So this slide shows some of the members of that commission. As I mentioned earlier, it's chaired by Professor Sir John Holman. We've got representatives from across the sector and beyond. So, for example, we have industry representatives, we have 2 vice-chancellors on there, and crucially, we have 5 technician representatives as well, alongside colleagues from funders, policy, etc., etc. This is a huge report. We are looking to publish it in, hopefully, COVID permitting, November this year. We're hoping to launch in the House of Lords, actually, to make a bit of a splash and generate lots of interest along the way. We have identified 12 key questions which we're looking to address with the commissioners. I won't go through all of those now, but just to give you a flavour, we're looking at things like, how are technicians funded in the UK's universities and research institutes? How are they thought about in, government policy? What skills are we going to need in the future in this country? What technical skills do we need to be developing now to ensure, that we have the skills we need in a future-proof, etc. So it gives you a little bit of a flavour, but it's the first time anything like this has been done, and we're super excited about it. And a huge thanks to colleagues who may have participated already in some of the research that's been undertaken through sort of focus groups, a huge national survey that we ran earlier this year, and other initiatives like that. Workstream 2 is the culture change activities. So to Research England, we said we were going to deliver 5 culture change projects, but we've actually upped that to 6 now. So just to give you a brief overview of these. This is again back at our 8 universities, whereas the Policy Commission is much more sort of national reach. This is about us piloting things and then sharing our learning with the rest of the sector. So you may know that research culture, there's a big focus on research culture at the moment across the sector, and we want to look at this specifically for what that means for the technical community. And we've been doing a little bit of this through our individual technician commitment action plans. So for example, fair attribution, as I know something that you've pushed really hard on at Warwick. So that's sort of the sort of thing that we mean when we talk about research culture for the technicians. Are they credited for their contributions to research, for example, and how they're treated in the workplace and so forth. So that's one project that we have underway. Another is building on some work that we've already undertaken around equality, diversity and inclusion for the technical community. We have a lot of work to do to further understand the EDI challenges and barriers in the technical community in our sector, and we're going to be advancing some sort of interventions and trialling some projects to really try and make positive change in this area. The third one is around technical voice and representation. So we are looking at the 8 Midlands Innovation Universities. We're looking at all the decision-making committees that we have in those universities, and we're looking at where there is a technical voice. We've done that first audit. It's probably not a surprise to colleagues that there are not many technical representatives on those committees. And so we're going to be, again, piloting some interventions to look at, OK, if we have technical representation on these committees, what difference do they make? What impact do they have? And of course, training and empowering technical colleagues to take those positions at the table. We are looking at technicians and knowledge exchange and how the technical community in our 8 universities interface with industry. Our 8 universities are pretty good at selling our academic expertise, but arguably we're not so great at shouting about and celebrating the technical expertise and the technical know-how that actually SMEs industry want. So we've got some work underway at the moment around that. Equipment sharing has been expertly led by your colleague Ian Hancock's. We are looking at how we can share equipment as a consortium more effectively by making sure that it's technician led. I think in the past, the equipment sharing agenda has been led by academic colleagues. Actually, it's our technical colleagues who are the experts, the gatekeepers to that kit. And so we're sort of shifting that on a little bit, and we've already seen fantastic engagement and great success with that programme. And then our 6th one is looking at apprenticeships, but looking at how we can use the apprenticeship levy to train technicians, but also how we can do that collaboratively across 8 institutions. So we're just sort of kickstarting that programme there. Work stream 3 is around technical training and empowerment. And as I said, this is a direct investment into technical training and opportunities and professional development opportunities in our 8 institutions. So we've got 6 activity areas here. One of the programmes of activity you'll have probably heard about is Bespoke soft skill training that is developed specifically for the technical community in the Midlands Innovation Institutions. This isn't the standard off-the-shelf offerings that all of our institutions offer. This is about, what is relevant, what do we need to create and tailor and develop for our technical community. And this has been technician-led. So technicians across the 8 universities have told us what they need. We also have a technical skills and conference fund, which allows technicians from any of our 8 institutions to apply directly to us for funding to attend conferences or niche sort of courses on niche skills that will help advance their career. And this is a real first, because there's a significant pot of money there. Obviously, COVID put a stop to much travel last year, but moving forward, we hope that this will come to the fore. We have a technical placement scheme, which allows colleagues from any of the 8 universities to go on placement to either one of the other 7 institutions or one of our industrial partners. And partners on talent include organisations like Rolls-Royce, the Science Council, Thales Alenia Space, Cobra Biologics and others. We have a collaborative technical training fund where technicians from across 3 of the 8 institutions can come together to apply for money for, again, niche skills training that will impact colleagues, across the consortium. We're running the UK Higher Education Technicians Summit again this year. It takes place in a digital version in June and a physical version, we hope, in November, and again in 2023 as well. And we've also set up 5 technical knowledge cafes, well, 4 at the moment, but 1 to be confirmed. And you can see these around areas such as health and safety, outreach and public engagement, remote technical teaching, drawing on the lessons learned throughout the pandemic, and environmental sustainability. And I know a lot of colleagues are already involved in some of these, so many thanks for your contributions today. So just to finish, just to quickly let you know how to get involved and find out more. We have a website. Here we go. This is our website. It's mitalent.ac.uk. It's regularly updated with news, opportunities, ways to get involved, and so forth. This week and for the following 2 weeks, our technical training team are running an online festival of learning. I think there's 15 different courses, learning cafes, sort of career activities and so forth that you can register for and get involved in. Please do get involved. We're very lucky at Midlands Innovation to have this, unprecedented investment in our professional development, and it'll only be successful if colleagues engage with it. So please do. And then, of course, we'd really like you to get in touch. So here's the email address for the project and the Twitter handle. There are tons of ways to get involved in this, whether it's research for the Commission, the culture change projects, focus groups, interviews, professional development opportunities, whether it is we give you funding for an opportunity you're after. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an introduction to the breadth and depth of this enormous project, which we are 1 year into now, and really looking forward to the remaining 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Do people have any questions that they want to ask right now? Maybe, Kelly, you could just remind people how they can sign up for those Festival of Learning sessions.
Thanks, David. Yeah, it's all on the website. So if you go to mitalent.ac.uk, there's links there to sign up to everything. There's a little drop-down box. You can pick which course you want in the Festival and Learning. So I think it's pretty easy, and I think the website's all you need there.
Okay, great. Any other questions people want to ask about the talent project? Any of the things you've just heard about sound interesting? Yes, got a question from, who is it? Darren. From Darren.
Darren, hopefully it me. Hi, Kelly. Have you got any information yet on how many people have signed up for the various Festival of Learning training courses?
Yeah, sure. So I don't have the numbers for the Festival of Learning, which is this week and the next 2 weeks to hand, but certainly like in the first year of the programme, I think we've delivered training places to almost 300 colleagues across Midlands Innovation, which we've been, to be honest, really pleased with, because we know technical colleagues have been at the forefront of the response to COVID. We suddenly had to take everything online. So we're pleased with the engagement to date, but hoping we'll ramp it up, over the remaining years of the project.
That's good. Yeah, we've been pushing it in our Monday morning meetings with all our technicians just to make sure it's there, to make sure they're aware of it, making sure what type of courses are there for them. So I'll just be interested to see how many did sign up. I've also asked all of them to feedback both good and bad points through to us so we can pass them on to you. So.
No, that's fantastic, Darren, and it's exactly what we need. We need, technical managers, really flying the flag for this programme and making sure technicians are aware of the opportunities that it brings them. And of course, we want evaluation, good and bad. We want to make this the best programme it can possibly be. So that's really appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of an update on what we've been doing with the Technician Commitment, one of the first tasks that we had was to create a job family for technical staff. And just to explain that a job family is a collection of related jobs that require similar knowledge, skills and experience, but at differing levels. And generic role profiles for technical roles from levels 1B to 9 were drafted, and a career pathway was created, and you can see that on the screen at the moment. This was the role profiles were evaluated and everything was approved, and we then published in the technician brochure some versions of the generic profiles so that people could see what was expected, and that brochure is available on the TechNet website for anybody who hasn't seen it. The generic profiles gave a transparent outline of the skills, knowledge and experience that was required at each level, and the career pathway here just indicates how career progression may take place. So it's highlighting the different strands and pathways that are possible. So we've got a management strand and a technical specialist strand, and we acknowledge also that there will be a number of roles that require bits of each of those strands. So it's all a bit flexible. The work of the Technician Commitment really aims to provide technicians with the skills and confidence through their development to take advantages of the opportunities that might arise to enable them to progress in the future. So if we can go on to the next slide. So this slide just talks a little bit about how we've rolled out the job family and the career pathway. And we've done this by aligning technicians in their current roles and grades onto the career pathway that you saw on the previous slide. And this rollout was effective from the 12th of April. And all technicians have been notified of where they've been aligned to on the pathway. This was done by email during week beginning the 29th of March, I believe. And the work was done in conjunction with technical services managers who sit on our steering committee, and also with department administrators, just so that we knew we had the right number of people, the right technicians, and that they were aligned to the correct pathway. The slide out, so it's flexible. If someone feels that they've not been aligned to the correct career strand in terms of whether they've been put as a generalist or a specialist, this can be changed, but you need to let us know if you feel that that's the case. So we haven't made any changes to job titles, but the use of generic titles on the career pathway really enables us to identify where individuals sit, what their grade is, and which strand of the pathway they sit, and also then to be able to map any movement or progression within the technician group. So as the job families were put together using the university's existing grading framework and updated with about 50 recently evaluated technical roles. So we don't really envisage that there'll be many people who are incorrectly aligned onto that career pathway. But for those that do feel that they're not correctly graded, they can, with the support of their department, ask for their role to be reviewed. And the next slide just takes us a little bit through that process. Okay, so the process for reviewing roles that are incorrectly positioned, really you need to have an initial discussion with line managers, and we will need departmental approval to confirm why the role is being reviewed at this point. Reason departmental approval is required is really to assess the business need for the level of the role that's being undertaken, and to consider the impact that any changes to that role might have on other similar roles that it works with within the group, or whether there might need to be a wider review. We will need documentation for this, which will evidence why the role is going to be reviewed, outlining any changes to the current role, and we'll want it sort of presented a little bit like that one's shown there, with examples of work tasks, knowledge, skills and experience, and also an organogram outlining where the role sits within the current group and how it interacts with any of the other roles around it. We'll also need evidence that at least 70% of the tasks are being undertaken at a higher level than the current role requires in order for an upgrade to be considered. So upgrading won't be considered just on the basis of knowledge, skills and experience alone. You can't be regraded if you have those qualifications to undertake the role at a higher level, but there's no requirement for the role to be undertaken, and that's why we need department approval. So we will put together a template for completion for roles being reviewed. They'll need to be submitted through to the Technician Commitment Steering Group by mid-July, but we'll email out to notify you of the process and the paperwork and timescales. We have outlined throughout the project that there is no automatic promotion process for our support staff, and we can't guarantee progression in your current role. Progression can come if there are changes to the role, but more often than not by moving to a new role, either within your department or within the university. And this is the case across the support services. It isn't just for technical staff. So help is available for those looking for opportunities to manage their career progression, and Kelly's already touched on some of them. We have appointed a careers manager who is available to provide advice and guidance. There's the talent programme that Kelly's referred to of development opportunities, and Amajit does notify by email any changes to those opportunities as well. So that goes out on a regular basis. There's obviously access to the funding that Kelly's talked about and the work placements. But we also in February got approved by management a work shadowing process for technicians at Warwick with a commitment of 2 days development time annually for any such activity. I mean, obviously, as Kelly said, we appreciate that some of the placement and work shadowing opportunities are difficult under the current circumstances, but we really hope that you'll take advantage of those opportunities once we return to a more normal working environment, whenever that might be. So that's the end of my slides, and over to Ian now for what else is available.
Okay, so as Liz has taken us through, we've got the sort of job families there. Everybody's been sort of matched against particular areas. So one of the common questions is always going to be, how do I progress? So we've come up with this sort of diagram schematic here as a sort of an idea of that. So we've got the transparency that the job family actually provides. So you can have a look, see what's actually expected at each grade. We'll have some example roles from across campus of each grade that will be published on our website. What we'll also be able to publish is the actual numbers at each grade, so each part of the job family. So, for example, as it strands out into management and into specialist, we'll be able to put into those how many are at FA6, how many at FA7, how many at FA8 for each of those. Just so you've got an idea of in terms of how many roles are actually available, and also over time we can track that as well. What we'll then have, so you'll be able to then sort of have an idea of where you are within the technician job family and have an idea in terms of where you want to get to. Then we've got the support with the career management to help identify your next steps. So we've got Michelle, who's the career manager on talent, and we can offer some tailor-made support opportunities for managing technical careers. We've got then coaching to help guide as well. So it might be that you sort of want to explore different options and sort of get some help on that side of things. And so Michelle's going to be looking at a sort of career monitoring program that will be launched soon, hopefully, on this through talent. So it's a chance to see what actually suits you, where you are with your skills, and where you can go from there. And then to support that, so you've identified where you want to be, you've identified that matches what you believe are your core attributes, is then looking at what the development opportunities are for yourself. So you may have some gaps in particular areas, and hopefully our soft skills training through talent can help with that. As Liz has said, there's the opportunity to do some work shadowing, and also the funds for the placement programs across MI. And then we've also got the professional registration fund as well. So you'll be able to hopefully fill in some of those gaps, but also obviously things like the work shadowing, the opportunity to go across both Warwick and also other campuses to explore different roles to see if they are actually matching up with what you expect, but also to build your own network as well on those side of things. So that will then put you in a great position that if opportunities do come up within the technician job family, and you can imagine with things like the expansion of STEM, with the STEM Grand Challenge, there are going to be opportunities coming forward for Warwick, and also obviously the usual turnover of staff. You're in the best position possible in order to get the roles that are available. So moving on to the next slide. So what we have got on top of the job families is an action plan. So we have a self-assessment action plan that we had an initial 2-year action plan that was submitted to the Science Council, and we fed back actually what we'd done in December 2020 and got some very positive feedback. And then we had a 3-year action plan submitted at the same time, which focuses around recruitment, progression, and enhancing technical the skills of the technical community of Warwick. So that's things like recruitment, development, career progression. Engaging and recognising the technical community, so working with our technicians on things that matter and the ways that we can recognise our technicians in the current climate. Visibility of the technical community, so events such as this, but also things like the showcasing of the work that our technicians do. We've had things such as being highlighted by Stuart in his communications over COVID times, so we want to make sure that's continued. And also through things like talent, where we've got the equipment sharing and we can highlight case studies of how excellent our technical staff are through that. We've got technicians' voice, as Kelly had said, it's around, we've got things around research culture and here we've got a research culture committee with a technical representative, Dr. Sarah Bennett, who is open to feedback and has been gathering feedback from across different roles across campus, and we're hoping to have a questionnaire out for that soon to support that. We need the technician's voice in our environment, so this feeds into that. And then the support mechanisms for our technical community, so general support that we can give, things like the skill sessions and things like that, as well as mental health and well-being, that side of things. So the action plan is published online, so you can view that at any point, and it's more of a living document, so we're hoping to update on that on a regular basis to reflect actually what our technical population want, and anything that we do get back from the technical population we'll try and implement through that. So we've talked about the recruitment processes, how things that we're looking at are how and where we advertise. We've actually ran a bespoke induction for technical staff, where we had a couple of departments and a few technicians actually give a short introduction to some new members of staff, and we're hoping to do a second version of that soon as well, in probably June. We've got advice and information online, and then also the chance for secondment opportunities that we're going to be sending around, as well as the regular thing that we do, which is basically capturing all of the roles that are advertised and putting it across to those that have signed up for the newsletter, just so that you can be aware of opportunities as soon as they happen. We've got development opportunities through talent, as has been spoken about several times already. Careers advice, the careers wheel, and the roadmap of roles. We've got methods for recognising technicians, a revised brochure, which we're hoping to have in the next couple of months, and then showcasing events and videos, and hopefully some community building events once we're back up and running with the restrictions taken off a little bit more. We want to engage with our academics and senior leaders a lot more, and I think that's one of the key things that's come out of the sort of research that we've been doing in terms of how the impact has happened around our technician community commitment, because we need to make sure that there's a better understanding of what the commitment is about, and also to ensure the visibility of technicians is there. But this also feeds into the technician's voice as well, so making sure that our technical staff are in a position where they can actually influence decisions and have input at the correct time, so that things aren't done to them, that they actually have a say in that, and that they're not forgotten as well. We've also got a continued engagement with technicians, so we've got a regular online discussions, so things like focus groups we've run over last year. We're hoping to have more and more events, and hopefully soon in face-to-face as well. But then we've also got things like an informal online coffee meeting every Wednesday afternoon. So it's just a chance for people to drop in and basically have a discussion and raise any issues if they want to raise any particular issues as well as talking about things like cats and vaccines and things like that. So questions and contact details. We've got a Twitter account, TechNet Warwick. We've got our own website, so that's the TechNet at Warwick, which should be fairly quick to search in the Warwick search, but it's just there in full. We've got the talent website there, and we've got the email address. But I'm sure with it being around job families and progression, I'm sure we'll have a few questions as well. So I'm happy to open it up to the floor. And the other thing that I'd encourage is, I mentioned before, we've got the work with Sarah. Sarah's in the room at the moment. But if there's anybody that wants to get in contact in terms of the research culture side of things, now's an opportune moment with the research committee, culture committee's just been established, and Sarah's feeding back really well into that. So if there's anything that anybody wants to raise with Sarah, you can get in direct contact, but we will have a questionnaire hopefully going around soon.